Hello and welcome to Game Patrol, the fourth episode of this awesome sauce podcast that I've been doing now for a few weeks. My name is Landon Plumley, and welcome back. If you are returning, it is great to see you. If you are new, then welcome. Let's go jump right into it. I think I have solved the shakiness for the most part. Shouldn't be an issue anymore for people watching on YouTube. For the people on Spotify, again, this does not concern you. I do wish I could have a little bit of a wider shot, but like I explained last week, I'm in a little bit of a smaller space, so it's a little harder to do that. I don't have this huge studio that I'm working with, but I am grateful all the same that I have my own little space that I can use to record this podcast. Again, huge shout out to Butler University and Mr. Mark Harris for letting me use the podcast studio, which is fantastic. But we have a lot to talk about this week. I am very excited. First off, if you saw the title, we're going to be talking about Dragon Ball Z Kakarot. That's because I made an impulse decision and bought it at 2 a.m. on Friday night, or Friday morning, it would have been. It was literally just a couple hours after it came out, and I decided, yeah, sure, why not? And I am prepared to talk all about the 17 hours that I've put into it thus far. I haven't beaten it yet. Monday, I did not get a chance to play it at all because I was spending time with people, taking the holiday. And then I didn't have much time yesterday to play it, but I was playing it pretty consistently over the 4-day weekend minus Monday, like I said. And so I got a lot of hours in, but I haven't had a whole lot of time now, especially through the week, which really sucks because of reasons I will tell you about in a little bit. I don't want to spoil anything. So, keep listening. But also I have some other stuff that I really want to talk about, such as my experience with E3, because I heard there's some discussion on whether or not E3 is viable, whether people should go to E3 this year. And I just wanted to weigh in on that because last year was my first time going to E3, and a lot of media people have said that E3, last year's E3 was a terrible E3 and that it was dead and that it's just, E3 is dead and you shouldn't go. And so I'm going to give my perspective on that, seeing as last year was the first year for me. And so I don't have any prior experience with E3 other than last year, which was supposedly terrible. And so, I'm going to talk all about that because I thought I had kind of a different voice on this topic. And so I really want to talk about that. So stay tuned on that. But you know how this goes. We're going to talk first about the games that are coming this week, which we have a lot this week. Because this podcast comes out on a Thursday, it kind of covers an odd range. And so how I do is from today for you guys, not today for me. So Thursday to the next Wednesday, which means we're dealing with Friday releases and Tuesday releases for the most part, instead of this week, Tuesday and Friday. You get what I mean? I'll get into it. But we've got a lot of releases this week. So today, there are 2 big games coming out, which is weird because usually games don't come out on a Thursday, but we actually have 2 that are kind of a big deal, a little bit, sort of, kind of. So first off, we've got The Walking Dead Saints and Sinners, which is a game that really has not been marketed, but really should be because I'm pretty interested in it. It is a VR title, and so it is a VR Walking Dead game. And yes, The Walking Dead is in the huge media franchise. I don't believe this is specifically based off of the TV show. I think it's just off the franchise in general, maybe the comics. I don't think it has any specific ties to one particular thing. I don't know a whole lot about this game. But what I do know is, I'll read you guys a little description on what it says if you guys are interested. So Saints and Sinners is a game unlike any other in the Walking Dead universe. Every challenge you face and decision you make is driven by you. Fight the undead, scavenge through the flooded ruins of New Orleans, and face gut-wrenching choices for you and the other survivors. So it was a while ago. I don't remember. It was a few months ago that some people got to play the game early, and there was a pretty positive reception. And I mean, the screenshots look good. I know you need a pretty beefy PC to run it. I don't think it's it's not like Half-Life Alyx. That game looks stunning, but for a VR game, it does look pretty good. And, you know, it's kind of giving me some Dying Light vibes in terms of it. It seems like it's kind of a survival thing. I saw in the description it said it was a 15+ hour game, which for a VR title is really, really good. This seems like a really well-crafted VR game. So if anything, if you have a PC VR headset and are looking for a new game, it sounds like Saints and Sinners is going to be a good one. I don't think any reviews have come out at the time of me recording this. I haven't seen any pop up, but I am interested to see how it is, because we're starting to get to the point now where we're getting really, really good VR games. 2018 had Astrobot. 2019 had Blood and Truth, and the one game, it's like Asgard's Wrath. Was it something like that? Or that was... Yeah, the one with the chick in it, and it was a PC exclusive. That's why I don't know much about it, because I only have PlayStation VR, because I don't have a beefy PC right now, but I am working on that. But so I didn't know much about it, but I heard that was just an amazing game in its own right, much less as a VR game. And so now we're getting Half-Life Alyx, which is guaranteed to be an amazing game. I mean, Valve changes the game every time they release a video game, so especially Half-Life games, which also, if you haven't played the Half-Life games, all of them are free on Steam right now until April 1st. So you have no excuse. I personally have played a little of the first, and then I've played the second. But I'm really interested to play the episode 1 and 2, because those are like the newest. Those are like kind of Half-Life 3, but not. And so I haven't played those. And then I probably will go back and play Half-Life. But Half-Life 2 is really, 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 really good. They're all supposedly really good. I can just testify that Half-Life 2 is really good. They all pioneer the way, so I'm sure Half-Life Alyx is going to be incredible. I'm trying to figure out, like, I think I might talk to my brother-in-law and be like, because he has an HTC Vive, and be like, hey, if I buy Half-Life Alyx, can I come over and just play it all the time? Like, I really want to get a hold of that game. There's no way I can build a PC in that time. I have like a power supply right now, and that's about it. Like, it's not gonna have I just don't have the accessibility right now, and my laptop's honestly really close to being able to handle VR. It's not close. It could handle VR technically, just not Half-Life Alyx level quality VR. But anyway, Saints and Sinners, I got very off topic there. It's out today, so any VR people who think it might sound cool, you know, go give it a try. And so the other game out today is Oddworld Stranger's Wrath HD for Switch. So this has come out on Steam, but we're now getting it on the Nintendo Switch. And so if you know anything about it, it's kind of a weird one in the Oddworld series. If you know, like Oddworld Abe's Odyssey, this one's actually like an FPS, but you know, it's got some mixed things. I don't know if it exactly has if it's good in 2020 standards, but back then it was pretty cool. And so just a little synopsis. I mean, you got Stranger, a tall, dark, and enigmatic bounty hunter with a mission to capture troublemakers and scoundrels and return them to civilized townships for incarceration. But Stranger is keeping a secret and needs expensive surgery to survive. In his quest to earn enough moolah, Stranger reluctantly accepts the ultimate bounty from the owner of the Mongo River, and suddenly his adventure takes a very different turn. So, if that interests you, I mean, this was back in the days where you had things like Conker's Bad Fur Day and Banjo and Kazooie and things like that, where mature themes were kind of like made kind of childish. Like you had, you know, stuff hidden away. I wouldn't say this is like Conker's Bad Fur Day, because I believe this is T for teen. But you know, like it's not as like gory and mature as we have it today. This is kind of a little more kid-friendly game. And so, you know, yeah, I personally have not played it, but if that suits your fancy, that's out today for you guys. Honestly, I'm kind of a sucker for Switch games. Like, even if I already own a copy of the game, if it comes out on Switch, I'm kind of likely to get it just because I like being able to take it around. And so if you're a fan of the Oddworld franchise, if you're a fan of Stranger's Wrath, then it is out today. Go ahead, pick it up on the Switch, take it on the go. You will probably enjoy it. And so then the rest, is this also today? No, it's not today. Tomorrow, Kingdom Hearts 3 Remind. It's not Remind, it's semicolon mind. And so Remind is the other tale that unfolded during the climax of Kingdom Hearts 3. Now, I've never played the Kingdom Hearts games, so I apologize if I butcher this stuff, but I have no idea what's going on. So, determined to rescue Kairi, Sora travels to the Keyblade graveyard a short time before the final battle was to take place. Lacking a corporeal form, he traces the hearts of the 7 Guardians of Light. Through experiencing their personal battles firsthand, Sora is about to discover truths that he has never before imagined. I really want to check out Kingdom Hearts. I was a huge fan of Final Fantasy 15, and since then I've played I've only played Final Fantasy 14. I didn't even get through that game. I played during my free trial, and then I set it aside because it got really, really grindy, and I really liked the story of Final Fantasy 14. It's just I got to that point in the game where it's like you have to grind and do repetitive, stupid little side quests that it's just not fun. And so eventually I want to go back to it, but of those, I really like Final Fantasy, and if I played the others, I'm super excited for Final Fantasy VII. I thought about grinding through the original before the remake comes out, but I think I'm just going to play the remake. I know that makes me a scoundrel, but sue me. But I'm very excited for that. And, you know, Kingdom Hearts is right up that alley, so I do want to play Kingdom Hearts, especially 3, because it's kind of similar to Final Fantasy 15, and 15 is one of my favorite games of all time. I'm obsessed with that game. It made me cry twice. It is a severely underrated game. I completely understand where there's criticism. The last third of the game is essentially what they started with like 10 years before the game came out, and then they worked on the open world aspect later, and they didn't have enough time to make a cohesive game, so they just took that last third and just plopped it in there. But it's not bad. Like, nothing about it is bad. It's just a little disjointed, like, from it. Like, you're just cut off from the open world and put in this separate area for the last third of the game. But it's not bad. It's like a different type of game, almost. Like, the story is incredible throughout the entire thing, and the last third just focuses on that. And so I personally didn't have a problem with it. And so that's why it is like a masterpiece to me, and it is one of the best games I've ever played. Because that, I just didn't mind that, but I completely understand why people did. But anyway, that's why I wanted to play Kingdom Hearts 3. I just never did. And so, yeah, but it's out tomorrow on PS4, February 25th for Xbox One. I had to like double check that wasn't some sort of typo and that it was just, maybe it was a day later, like January 25th. But no, it's February 25th for Xbox One. So us Xbox people got to wait a little bit longer. Even though if I was all cut up, I would have just gotten it on the PS4 because I have a PS4 too. But I prefer getting my games on Xbox. But yeah, have to wait a month and a day for some reason. So I don't know. February 25th is probably a Friday. I don't know. But yeah. But going on into like next week, like I said, it's within this week, but because since it's on a Thursday, so on, I believe it's a Tuesday, it's the 28th. I'm just assuming, yeah, it is a Tuesday. We've got a bunch of games coming out too, like a bunch. And so we've got Journey to the Savage Planet comes out on Tuesday, which is really cool. It's the debut game from Typhoon Studios, which just recently got acquired by Google Stadia. So as far as I know, there's been no announcement of this game coming to Stadia. It's not necessarily going to happen because it's published by 505 Games, which are the people that are publishing Control, I believe, Death Stranding. Don't quote me on that, but I think they're publishing the PC port of Death Stranding. I might be wrong, but yeah, they've published a bunch of different stuff, and so they're publishing this, and so ultimately it's up to them whether they want to publish on Stadia. I think I'm pretty sure that's how that works, but yeah, future games are going to be made for Google Stadia, which is interesting because they haven't even published their first game yet, and they've already have decided to sell out to Stadia. So we'll see if that was a good decision or not. A lot of people probably think it's not, but I think it'll be fine. And so this is a cute game. If you're into like family games or like adventure games, this is probably going to be one for you. So in this colorful co-op, that's another bonus. I really love games that do are focused on co-op because I think co-op games kind of have died out in this past generation, like Xbox One and PlayStation 4. but now they're kind of making a comeback, and so I'm excited about that. But in this colorful co-op adventure game, you play as the newest recruit to Kindred Aerospace. Dropped onto an uncharted planet with little equipment, you must determine if this planet is fit for human habitation, but perhaps you are not the first to set foot here. So, interesting little cute game. I believe it's T for teens, so it's not like a super mature game, but just a fun little game you could play with your little brother or sister or your son or daughter. Yeah, so that comes out on Tuesday if you're interested. Again, it's their first game, so we'll see. We don't really have anything to suggest that this game is good or bad, but it looks cute. And yeah, that's coming out on PS4, Xbox One, and PC. No Switch version that I know of. And so next up, we've got the final episode of Kentucky Route Zero, a game that has been out since 2013, maybe earlier. I don't know. It's been a while, throughout most of the 2010s, and now it's finally finishing up in another decade. And so it is coming out. Yeah, episode 5 is coming out on Tuesday, as well as the entire package on PS4, Xbox One, and Nintendo Switch. So Kentucky Route Zero is a magical realist adventure game about a secret highway in the caves beneath Kentucky and the mysterious folks who travel it. Now, this game has received insane amounts of like good reception. I mean, it's been claimed one of the best games of the year, one of the best games of the decade. Yeah, people are obsessed with this game. It's another story-driven game, so if you like games like What Remains of Edith Finch or The Vanishing of Ethan Carter, this is a game in that vein. I personally have not played it, but I will in the future because of a little channel that I have. Spoiler alert, if you know what I'm talking about. But yeah, so it's a really cool game. If you are into the story-oriented games, this is the game for you. If you haven't checked it out on PC yet, do it when you have one. If you don't have a PC that you like to game on, if you're a console player, then it is coming to consoles on this Tuesday. You can even take it on the go with the Switch. It's going to be super cool. Again, very story-oriented driven game that has received numerous awards. And now the final chapter is finally coming out, as well as the console versions. So go ahead and check that out if you want. But also on Tuesday, Pillars of Eternity 2 Deadfire is coming to consoles, PS4, and Xbox One. So this is a sequel to Pillars of Eternity. Get that. And so pursue a rogue god over land and sea in the sequel to the multi-award winning RPG Pillars of Eternity. Captain your ship on a dangerous voyage of discovery across the vast unexplored archipelago region of the Deadfire. So this game is, I believe, unless I'm getting my RPGs mixed up, I believe it's published, or not published, but developed by Obsidian, because this one kind of fell by the wayside, mostly because it's kind of in direct competition with, yeah, it is Obsidian, which is now owned by Xbox. But it's kind of in direct competition with Divinity, Original Sin, and Original Sin 2 just blew everyone away, and then Pillars of Eternity 2 came out, and everybody was like, okay, this is cool, but Divinity, I mean, so it's not a bad game, but it kind of got washed away, so people don't really talk about it a lot. I don't think it did very well commercially. So if you're into RPGs like Divinity or the original Pillars of Eternity and you want to play this on console, go ahead and give it the support. Obsidian needs it because, like I said, I don't think it did very well commercially. And so if you like this game on PC, or if you haven't played this game but have wanted to, then go ahead and check it out. It's not a bad game. It just didn't really do well, and so they need the support. If you want to see a Pillars of Eternity 3, it's got to be a fat chance unless you guys give it some support. So yeah, comes out on Tuesday. Go ahead and check it out if it tickles your fancy. It's joined Divinity in like this sort of revival of top-down RPGs, and so I think that's really cool. It's not something I necessarily like to play on console. I just think those are just better played on PC, but it can be perfectly done. Like, there's no issue with it. I just think it feels better with the mouse and keyboard. But nowadays you can use that for Xbox and PlayStation, only on certain games though. I honestly doubt you can use a mouse and keyboard on these. It's very select games that you can, but yeah, so check it out if you want, which I think you should if you're into this sort of thing. And you don't have PC. I mean, honestly, if you're into this sort of thing, you probably have it on PC because that's the way to play it. But anyway, so last one, it's a big one, is Warcraft 3 Reforged is finally coming out. It is the remaster of Warcraft 3, so you can relive the events of Warcraft 3 Reign of Chaos and the Frozen Throne. Command mysterious night elves, insidious undead, savage orcs, and noble humans as alliances shift and cultures clash in ruthless conflict. So this is the big one. This is the one that then turned into World of Warcraft. I mean, all of the Warcraft games were received well, but Warcraft 3 was kind of the one that launched it into the stratosphere. And so now it's getting remastered. It is single player. It's not about, like, it's not the MMO. This is what the MMO spawned from. And so, honestly, I kind of want to check it out. I won't check it out at launch, maybe later, just because I don't have money right now. And I'm also dealing with Dragon Ball, and I need to finish up that Coma review for my internship. So I've got stuff to play right now. But I just recently got into World of Warcraft. I'm still in the free trial because I haven't had time to get through all of it, and then I'll eventually get a subscription. But I'm just a very busy person, so I'm avoiding getting the subscription because I don't know if I'll be able to make good use of it. But yeah, I like living in the world. I like doing that sort of thing, and getting a fresh coat of paint on this older, more single player base, because I do like my single player games. I'm not a huge MMO person like with World of Warcraft and Final Fantasy. They're both, like I said, Final Fantasy 14 got a little grindy for me. I expect World of Warcraft will as well, because that's just the name of the game. And so, if you have friends to play with, great, but I don't. So it makes it a little less enjoyable for me. So that's why I like single player games, because then it's just, I always have something. Like, I don't have to feel like I'm missing out because I don't have someone to play with all the time. Like, there are some games I do. Like, I play Destiny 2 with my buddy, and so I don't play Destiny 2 by myself, and I don't feel the need to. But, yeah, that's just how I feel. So, yeah, Warcraft 3. Really cool. I kind of want to check it out, but probably won't be right now. But if you guys want to check it out, it is finally coming out this Tuesday. So, yeah. But after that lengthy discussion, how long have we went over? Jeez, we are so over on time. I spent a lot of time, but we'll make up for it. So, getting into the gaming news, and this will probably go by pretty quickly because the majority of the gaming news are more delays. And so I'm very sad because everybody's saying like these delays are a good thing because it means that the game will be better for it, and I know that, and I'm trying to think that way, but it's just so hard because they're games that I wanted really, really badly. And so we're going to start off with the one that hurts me the most, which is Dying Light 2. It got delayed. There is a bigger game that got delayed, which you already know, but I'm going to hold off on talking about for now. But Dying Light 2, I was so excited for that game. Dying Light is one of the most criminally underrated games of all time, just behind Final Fantasy 15, and it's such a good co-op game. I played the entire game through with my buddy, and we just had time of our lives. I mean, A Way Out is an insanely good co-op experience, but I would say that Dying Light is the number 2 best co-op game I've ever played, just because it's so much fun to run around that world doing, like, who would have thought to do a zombie parkour game? Like, that's such a weird concept that worked so well. Like, being able to pull off new fun ways to traverse around the city, and then going from like being afraid to interact with any zombies of any kind to just viciously taking down zombies in the middle of the night, like you don't even care, just like being a one-man army, or in our case 2-man army. It was just so much fun. Like, the evolution, like the way that the plot progressed was so good. Like I said, that progression from weakling who, if it was nighttime, you went straight to bed, you did not go out at nighttime, to just going fearlessly night or day, didn't matter, you killed everything anyway, and just having that power. And it was a progression too. Like, you didn't get that way till the end of the game. Like, you were getting your butt handed to you if you weren't ready, and you weren't ready for most of the game. And so it never felt broken. Like, when you got to that point where you're like, okay, I can conquer pretty much anything, like you feel like you actually earned it. It wasn't something where it's like, okay, you've progressed to a certain point, now you're a god. And there were still points where, like, if you made stupid decisions, you would get yourself killed, even that, like, in the post game, And so it was just, the difficulty scaling was so good in that game. And I never played the following. It's something that I do want to get through before Dying Light 2 comes out. And so maybe this was a blessing in disguise. I don't know. But it was delayed, and the developers did not give a release date. Before the delay, it was supposed to come out this spring sometime. We still had no firm release date. So I guess it's not really a surprise since we didn't have a release date yet. But it's now been pushed back to some time. We don't know. I don't even think no new launch window whatsoever. Doesn't even necessarily say it's coming out this year. And gosh, it's so sad. It's so sad. I don't think it'll be that much of a delay, just because they most likely haven't made a next gen version. And so I would imagine they'd want to get this out before November or whenever the consoles launch. So I do think it's coming out this year, unless they surprise us and it turns out to be a launch game, like it's a cross-gen title. That would be really cool. But you know, it is a very good looking game, so they could be doing that. I don't know. But if they aren't, I think it's still in 2020. I hope it's still in 2020, because I really miss the world of Dying Light. And, you know, they said that the big thing that they were focusing on with the second one is just increasing the amount of player choice and how your decisions affect the story. And that gets me very, very excited, because they didn't really, I can't think of anything they necessarily needed to change with the gameplay in terms of, the feel of the parkour, the weapons, all of that. They were all great. I mean, I am a fan of the Dead Island games, and so I thought this was a really cool new idea that takes the heart and soul of Dead Island and, you know, changes it, since, you know, Deep Silver yanked it away from them. But it's great. It's fantastic, and I am so excited for Dying Light 2, and I am so sad that it's still not out yet, but we persevere. And so secondly, Iron Man VR has been delayed, which is kind of oddly convenient. Right after Marvel's Avengers got delayed out of May, which they would have had a lot of hype coming from Black Widow releasing in May. Now Iron Man, which was supposed to come out in February, is now coming out May 15th. So in the time of Black Widow coming out, like the movie. And so they can kind of work together. You know, Black Widow can advertise Iron Man VR can advertise Black Widow, vice versa. And so they can kind of go off each other. I've heard really good things about this game. Personally, I don't know. It seems like it's just a flight simulator with, you know, Iron Man slapped on it. That just doesn't interest me that much. But the people that have played it says it is really, really fun. So I am 100% hoping that I'm wrong. I'm not super, super excited. I'm excited because other people are excited. Because like I said, they have all said, people who've played it already have said this is really, really fun. So I'm hoping that I'm wrong and that it is more than just Iron Man Flight Simulator, because, you know, I just hope it's not gimmicky. And seeing that it is built for PlayStation VR, not just VR in general, does also give me hope, because a lot of the PSVR exclusive games are really, really good, like Blood and Truth and Astrobot, because they can take advantage of the hardware. Because usually games that are built for the PC VR headsets have to be they just don't run as well on the PSVR, because it is the quote-unquote worst VR headset, just because it's limited by the hardware of the PS4, and the camera is not all that great at capturing the motion controls and all that. So seeing it built for the ground up for PSVR does give me some hope. But anyway, has been delayed just a few months, which, like I said, is kind of interesting, because last week Avengers got delayed. Now this is delayed, and it's filling the slot that Avengers was supposed to. I mean, not the exact date, but, you know, that area. So actually, it might have been that. No. Well, yeah, maybe it was the 15th. I don't remember. But it's interesting. It's interesting. Getting away from delays, yes, we do have another one, but I want to put it off as long as possible because it also hurts. But Horizon Zero Dawn is reportedly coming to PC, which the main reason I'm talking about it is because so many PlayStation nerds are so upset about this, being like, well, I'm just going to get it. They're taking our PlayStation games and putting them on PC, blah, blah, blah. It's such a stupid argument. I mean, people are so upset about PlayStation bringing games to PC because it's like, let's put it on PlayStation. Microsoft has been doing this for years. Literally, Godfall was announced for PlayStation 5 and PC. Yes, it is not a Sony first-party game, but it's an exclusive that's also coming to PC. And it's like Death Stranding is getting ported to PC. All of the Quantum Dream games are coming to PC. Well, not coming, they are on PC. And so, you know, we're seeing this now. Jason Schreier reported this, and he also, I don't know if he has any source on this, but he thinks that this is not the last one. Like, this is not the last Sony game to come to PC. Like, there will probably be more. My theory is that we're going to get an announcement. So everyone's saying February is going to be the PS5 announcement. I think that's probably going to happen. But at this announcement, they're going to announce some games coming to PS5 and launching on PS5. Now, I don't know if a sequel to Horizon will be a launch game, seeing as we're just seeing Guerrilla Games hire so many people right now. For it to be coming out so soon, they probably would have hired them sooner. So maybe this will just be an announcement and then it'll be released later on. But I think we're going to get a Horizon sequel announcement, and then it's going to be another coming to PS5 and PC, and then we'll get an announcement that Zero Dawn is coming on PC. And so maybe it's like we get, I mean, if it is a launch game, it would work out nice because probably would see the PC port come out in the summer of Zero Dawn, and then the sequel come out in the holiday. But again, they're hiring a bunch of people over at Guerrilla right now, so I think that just means they're earlier along. I don't think that, yeah, I just don't know if that, I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but that just seems like it's kind of a crunch to get that done in time. But that's what I think is going to happen. I think we're going to see a Horizon sequel announcement, and you know, it's coming to PC as well as Zero Dawn. So that's just my hot take. And so that's what I think is going to happen. But getting back to the bad news, yes, I called it last week. I didn't mean to, and it was literally before, it happened before I even got to publish the podcast. And then I was like, oh no, Cyberpunk 2077 got delayed. Yeah, I called it. I really called it, didn't I? I didn't mean to. It was a joke. I'm not gonna say anything else about, you know, but I guess that means that we are getting that Horizon game, not at launch, but we're getting announced in February, and it's coming to PC. That's, you know, because I apparently predict everything now. So yeah, Cyberpunk got delayed to the September 17th. So before the consoles, it's still coming to current gen. But yeah, that's sad. But it makes my April a little less crowded. I mean, I already got Resident Evil and Final Fantasy 7. So you know, I'm kind of not upset. It makes it so that I can not completely flunk my classes, you know? So, because I already know, like, September 17th, I'm not showing up to class. I'm not doing any of that. I'm telling people I'm sick. Actually, no, I'll be more honest and say I can't get out. Like, I can't leave my room right now. Make it sound like it's because I'm sick, but really it's just because I'm enjoying this, living daylights out of this. I'm so excited. But, you know, it's already game of the year. Confirm that. I hope that didn't shake. I realized that I'm kind of putting some stress on the table there for my YouTube listeners or watchers. But yeah, it got delayed. That's super sad. But then people have gotten into the discussion that, you know, delays cause more crunch because they don't want to delay the game again. And so it just causes the work environment to get really, really toxic. And so, yeah, I saw Jason Schreier. I don't know how he has all these sources, but he's insane with leaks and like getting inside scoops and everything. Insanely good journalist. But he reported Crystal Dynamics for Avengers and everything. Well, not necessarily for Avengers, but in the past, he knows that they have done with Crunch, they've done raffles to see who works the overtime. And it's insane. Like, all these video game developers, like, crunch is really, really bad. And I you know, like, I hope, it's not that bad. People, like, there have been developers that'll be like, oh, we're not gonna crunch our people that much. I mean, one of the things they said about Cyberpunk is that it is finished, like it is playable. However, they want to fine tune stuff. They want to add something. Here, hold on. I'll just read the thing. We are currently at a stage where, gosh dang it, it's loading now because I clicked on it because I'm dumb. But we are currently at a stage where the game is complete and playable, but there's still work to be done. Night City is massive, full of stories, content, and places to visit, but due to the sheer scale and complexity of it, we need more time to finish playtesting, fixing, and polishing. We want Cyberpunk 2077 to be our crowning achievement for this generation, and postponing launch will give us the precious month we need to make the game perfect. So, back when Red Dead Redemption 2 came out in 2018, I was talking with my boss at the time because both of us are huge gamers. I really miss him. He moved on to a new company, so I haven't seen him in a long time, but we message each other off and on. But it's at my work study. But we were talking about it in Cyberpunk and Red Dead, and I made the theory that Cyberpunk was done then. I mean, it probably wasn't in retrospect, but I had the theory that it was done, but it wouldn't come out for a while because after seeing Red Dead, that they, I mean, I could have been right too. I mean, they could have just been doing what I think they've been doing this whole time, which is they've had the main story done, and they've just been adding side stuff, adding those little things like in Red Dead Redemption 2, like running into the Ku Klux Klan, or all these little side things that are just happening in the world and just making the environment massive. And personally, I think that's what's going on with this delay. Obviously, you got a lot of bug fixes and everything, but I do think it's like adding little stories and adding just little things that people praised so much in Red Dead. The reason that it got like all these 10 out of 10s and everything is that the world is just so alive. And I think that's what's taken Cyberpunk so long, is just they're trying to create that with Night City, right? Is Night City? Yeah. Okay. I thought that's what it was called. But I think that's what's taking them so long. And you know, with that, there probably are a lot of bugs, and so they're probably trying to avoid pulling a Bethesda. I mean, to my knowledge, I don't think The Witcher was that buggy of a game. I don't think they had too much of a problem with that. But I think the big thing with Cyberpunk is, with The Witcher, you have villages, which are not very well populated. But here you have a city landscape, which means you're going to have probably heavily populated areas, which means you have to code a lot of AI, which makes the chances for bugs a lot higher. So I think they're being pretty honest when they're talking about bugs. There's probably a lot of bugs right now that they're trying to work out. Because when you think about games like Hitman, those like the new Hitman games, those games are praised so much because of, you know, not having those problems a lot, having to, you know, code all that AI. Like, this thing's going to be a beast for your processor. I don't know if they've released the specs yet, but my God, like, I'm sure, like, as big as this city is and everything, they're going to have a lot of stuff here, but a lot of processing going on. But yeah, Cyberpunk got delayed. I called it. I'm sorry. I should use my power for good. Let's see here. Both of the consoles are going to be really good. They're going to have a lot of launch games, and they're going to go off without a hitch, and people will stop fighting about the console war. That's my prediction. Hopefully, I'm right about that one too, because it's so stupid. Like, honestly, I thought we were getting away from the console war thing, but it turns out that people were just not caring that much because it was over. Now that it's hyping up with PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X, people are so vicious. And it's the PlayStation people too. It's not even Xbox people. Like, you see some, but for the most part, all of the toxic crap I've seen have been PlayStation trashing Xbox, like PlayStation fans trashing Xbox fans, not actually they themselves, which makes me really upset because, God, it's just, I hate it. I hate it so much. I just, you know, what's the problem with everybody, you know, loving games? You know, why can't we just have fun and play the games we want to play on the systems we want to play them on? I own all the consoles, and I love Xbox. I respect PlayStation, and I love the games that they make, but I am an Xbox fan through and through. But I have all the consoles because I love video games first and foremost, and so I want to play all the video games that I can. Is it good for my wallet? No, but I do it, and, you know, I don't necessarily trash PlayStation. I critique But you know, I would like to think that I'm not toxic towards PlayStation, even though I am an Xbox fan over a PlayStation fan. But I own a PS4. I'm going to own a PS5, and it's because they make some really good games, and that's why I buy consoles at the end of the day. So, you know, I just wish people shared that mentality, but apparently they don't. But whatever. Last news to get through: Fire Emblem Three Houses. There's some news about that, but it's about Smash. The new Smash fighter got announced, the last one in this first volume, this first year of new fighters, and it's Byleth from Fire Emblem Three Houses, which I'm personally excited about. I was so ready for it to be Dante, though. I was so upset that it wasn't Dante. But I like Byleth. I like his moveset. I think he's going to be interesting. He comes out on Tuesday. I'm excited to check him out. I've been playing a crap ton of Smash. Now that I got back in when I started playing Terry, I'm getting back into it, and I'm really having a lot of fun. So I'm excited to try out Byleth. Yeah, I think he'll be fun. But people are just losing their minds because A, it's another Fire Emblem character, and B, people just don't care that much. Like, the people that played Three Houses loved Three Houses. And so, as someone who loved Three Houses, like, I am excited about Byleth. I'm like, yeah, this is super cool. But, you know, I would have liked others so much. I would have loved Dante. You know, like, I'm not as upset as everyone else, but, you know, I understand where they're coming from. But, yeah, people are not happy with Byleth. But I think he'll be fine. I think people need to chill out. We're getting 6 more fighters, and it was recently leaked, apparently, that the first fighter is going to be Crash Bandicoot, which sounds pretty awesome. I think it's going to be really cool, but we'll see if that's actually true, but that's what people are saying, and probably not going to be super long wait for him, because if this negative reaction keeps up with Byleth, they're probably going to want to get back on people's good sides. And if it is Crash Bandicoot, then yeah, that will work. So, you know, that's one that fans have been wanting. Also, the developers of Doom said that they have kind of wanted Doom Guy to be in Smash, but they didn't say anything specifically about whether or not he was going to be in Smash or anything, but they kind of made it sound like, you know, they hadn't had any official agreement with Nintendo, which means that he's not going to be in it unless they do like a Volume 3, because they've already planned out the Smash fighters for Volume 2. So if this hasn't been locked in, that means that Doom Guy probably isn't in this one. I mean, maybe I just read in between the lines wrong, but it sounds like Doom Guy is kind of confirmed not to be in Volume 2 if they didn't make a concrete decision about it. But, you know, maybe I'm wrong, but sounds like we won't get Doom Guy, but please be Dante. I just want Dante. He would work so well, and we know that they have a relationship with Nintendo because 2, now going to be 3 of the Devil May Cry games are on Switch. So, and Capcom and Nintendo get along really well. They come out with a bunch of games. They're just overpriced and stupid, but, you know, they're on the Switch. I think they do well. They really honestly shouldn't. They need to not, like, as much as I hate to say it, they need to not do well so that they actually have competitive pricing instead of this BS pricing that they're doing now with all their Capcom games, making them more expensive than on other versions for lower quality that you can just take on the go. It's ridiculous, but whatever. So yeah, that wraps up the gaming news. We are going way over on time. I think, gosh, we have 15 minutes left, and I haven't even gotten to the main things I want to talk about. Oh my lord, my hair, it looks crazy. It's just to the point. It's, you know, it's because it's wintertime, so wearing hats does not help the hair situation. So apologies to my YouTube viewers out there. I also could definitely fix the lighting quality a little bit. I definitely forgot about that, but whatever. So let's get into our discussion. I also wish I had a little bit of water, but no food or drinks is allowed in here. But we shall continue on. So Dragon Ball Z Kakarot. Not gonna lie, I'm getting a little burned out here because I've been talking a lot. So I don't think I'm gonna have as much energy. I'm very tired today. So I think I used up most of my energy in the first 45 minutes of this. But I promise you, I am loving Dragon Ball Z Kakarot. The reviews are finally now coming out more and more, and it's I would say the general consensus is that it's a good game, not a great game. And I do completely understand where it's coming from. Essentially, I'll give you guys the short version right now. If you are a big fan of the Dragon Ball Z, of Dragon Ball Z, you will enjoy this game. If you are a big RPG fan but have never played Dragon Ball or have never had any experience with Dragon Ball, you might not enjoy this game. If you are both, you'll still probably enjoy this game. And so the reason I say that is it kind of falls into the tropes of a lot of licensed games where it's not a very good game, but the license can make up for it depending on how big of a fan you are. So, take my experience. I watched almost the entirety of the first Dragon Ball show with Goku as a kid, but I have not seen Dragon Ball Z. So honestly, I mean, again, I'm not sure, but I would like to think that I'm the perfect demographic for this game because I've never experienced Dragon Ball Z, and so I am experiencing the entirety of it through this game, and I'm loving it. I think that just animes are, like, the story is just so good. I mean, is it the best written thing in the world? No, but it's just fun, you know, it's entertaining, and that's what Dragon Ball Z is. I mean, the Goku and Frieza fight, oh, it's so good. It's so good. I put 17 hours into it. I'm currently in the Android Saga, so I've still got a ways to go, but I'm having the time of my life. I love the story of Dragon Ball. The RPG elements of the game are kind of hit or miss. I do like the leveling system, so you level up and you can learn new super attacks and you just become stronger and stronger, and there are fights that you have. The fighting is very much like Dragon Ball Xenoverse if you've played that. I have not, but that is what I have heard. But now I want to because of this game. But it's very good. The combat is very good, and that's why I say that you probably still enjoy it because the base of the game is good. Like, the combat is pretty simple. It's not difficult, really. Like, it takes a little bit to get used to. I wouldn't say it's necessarily complex, but it takes a little bit to kind of get your bearings, but it's not that hard. And once you get the hang of it, it's pretty simple. But it is complex with that. There are some moves that you like can't really interrupt. Like, you have to like get away and either defend yourself, like guard, or try and dodge. So they have really strong moves. There are some moves later on in the game where if you are hit by them, it will trigger a cutscene that will deal a lot of damage to you, so you especially want to avoid them at all costs. And so you can dodge, or you can do like a time, like a really close time dodge, which will then slow down time and let you counter, which they say you need to do. I don't really do. I usually just dodge a crap ton and then go in, which, you know, I'm not a pro player, but I saw some people saying that this was a really difficult game sometimes. I'm doing just fine, so I think I'm good enough. I mean, what can I say? I'm kind of a pro gamer. Ba-pow, ba-pow. What can I say? I go Super Saiyan on that. Hey, you know what I mean? Anyway, I'm sorry for that. But, yeah, the combat's really good. Like, there are some complexities in that, you know, they keep introducing new things, which is really cool. I just fought a battle. If you guys care about I won't spoil it, but you know, just in case people are not caring or do care about the spoilers for this game, even though it's a like 20-year-old story. But there are certain mechanics that just got introduced for me where it's like they can actually drain your ki, which is the energy you use to use your special attacks, like ki blasts, or like your kamehameha, or kamehameha as the English says it, which I think kamehameha, because that's how they say it in Japanese. And that's even how they say it in English, I think. They say kame, you know what I mean? Instead of kamehameha, you know what I mean? Like, I just feel like it shouldn't be pronounced that way because that's not how they like pronounce it syllable by syllable. It's like Goku's charging the attack. I don't know. That's just how I see it. But anyway, you need energy for all that, and I just encountered one that like drains your energy, which was really annoying. He also uses it to heal himself. So that was a really annoying fight, but it was still kind of fun. It got old because I was really bad at dodging that certain attack because he was super fast, and so it happened a lot, and so that that fight took me a good like 10, 15, I don't know about 15 minutes, but it took me a minute because it was difficult because he kept sucking the freaking life out of me. And so it was annoying, but it's really, really fun. I mean, where it falters, the side missions, I enjoyed them at first because a lot of them are from the original, like are from characters from the original anime, which is the one that I've seen. And so seeing those characters, seeing what they've been doing for the past 5 or longer years, and just, you know, exploring some of that side narrative, I enjoy them for the story, but the gameplay is very simple. Essentially, the better side missions are the ones where you actually fight other things, because then, like I said, you get into the fun combat where it's like, it's not revolutionary combat, but it is fun, and I don't think it really gets that repetitive. Each fight, you know, you kind of, it requires a little bit of strategy to it, and, you know, figuring things out, and you just feel really cool pulling off these cool, you know, Kai attacks and all these things. It's just fun. And so, but there are some fetch quests that can get really annoying, especially if you have to travel to different areas, which triggers a long loading screen and going back and all this yada yada yada. Sometimes it doesn't fully explain what you need to do, so it can be kind of confusing. But yeah, the side stories can kind of get a little bit, but in terms of story, I like them for that. But there's one area of the game where you are training up, and essentially the side stories become the main plot because it's kind of like a big filler, and that was the worst portion of the game. I just got past that part, and so it was the worst part of the game for me because it was just a bunch of side stories that I had to do. And then it started really, because then I'm like 15 hours into the game. So, you know, I've played a bunch of side stories and everything. It's starting to get a little old. And then being forced into doing that, like doing multiple in a row, then I was kind of like, okay, I'm kind of sick of these. So, yeah, it gets old, but the main beef of the game is good. And then there's other things like, you know, the open world is pretty empty. I mean, it's, again, like a license. Like, these guys are no CD Projekt Red. Like, they don't make this huge open world with lots of stuff to do. That's not the point. And if they would have had more time, I think this game would be a lot more polished. And so, you know, it seems like the main arcs that they've went with, because when you get to, like, Dragon Ball Z Kai, which is what I would say this game is mostly based off of versus the older, less condensed version, there are 7 arcs, right? And it sounds like, from what I've heard and from what I've played, this game has condensed it into 5. They talk about 4, but I think it's 5. So you've got, you know, the Super Saiyan arc, you've got the Frieza arc, the Android arc, the Cell arc, and then the Boo arc. A lot of people combine the Android and the Cell arc into one. From my understanding of this game, and then from what I've kind of looked at, it looks like, yeah, that's how it's going to be. So it's 5. So I think they might skip over the World Tournament one. And, you know, whatever. I think they'll just combine the 2 Boo arcs into one. I don't know. But, because what I'm told is that it's a 40-hour game. I'm about 17 hours through, like I said. But from what I've heard, I should be over half. I don't know. I really don't. So I'll be able to say more once I've beat it. But it seems like they're skipping more and more as the game goes through, because obviously it's hard for me to tell because I've never seen the anime. But one of the things I know they cut out is the fight between Frieza and the Namekian that guarded the one dude, the keeper of the Dragon Balls on planet Namek, the fight between him and Frieza. I know they cut that out of the game, which people were upset about because that's a kind of big deal. I didn't know that it was a thing until I saw a video on it. I was like, oh, that was actually shown in the anime? I don't know. And so I would say that this game is like the Dragon Ball Z Kai of Dragon Ball Z Kai. So it's just a further condensed version of Dragon Ball Z, but it is comprehensive. It covers the entire thing, which I think is really, really cool. And so, like I said, I really love the story of Dragon Ball. And so being able to continue that story and actually like interact with it and have fun with it, I love that a lot. So I think it's a great game. Do I think it's like a revolutionary game? No, but it's really, really fun. And I think if you're a Dragon Ball fan, you will enjoy this game, at least somewhat. And so, yeah, I'd recommend it. I think I like this game more than most, like what the critics are saying, but I do completely understand where they're coming from. It does feel a little bit rushed, like Like some areas just feel like they kind of glossed over when they could have went more in depth. But that's okay. And so, we'll see. I would love to see them tackle like the original Dragon Ball, because somebody said that like everybody's just OP in this game, and so taking it back to a time where people like weren't like that with the original Dragon Ball, and they could focus a lot more. That would be a true test of figuring out the RPG mechanics, because you don't have this intense combat all the time. And so that would be a true test of like, can they make a good game outside of the combat? Because like I said, I don't think this is a bad game outside of the combat. I just think it's a little unpolished. And so that would be the true test, if they can make a good game out of the original Dragon Ball. Because I think they could, if they worked harder at it and, got some people more experience with open world RPGs on the team. But yeah, or Dragon Ball Super. They could also go that route. Or, just make more anime RPGs, because I would love to see more of this and see them improve and make a better RPG, because I love RPGs and I love anime. And so, this I guess that's why I like it so much. And so I'm having a lot of fun with it. And, yeah, it's fun. It's really fun. But I'm making sure I'm going to run over a little bit of time on my podcast, on the podcast stream, because it took me a while to get set up. So no one was apparently supposed to be in here after me, but I tried to check out more time, but it was not letting me for some reason. I hope it's not because someone was taking it as I was doing it, because that would be not fun times. It still says that no one's done it, so we're just going to kind of stay in here a little bit, and no one will know, except you guys. But, how are we doing on time? I think that wraps up about my feelings on this podcast. Is definitely going to go over a little, because I still want to talk about E3. But that wraps up my thoughts on Dragon Ball. Again, I'll have some more. I'll probably talk about it a little bit next week. Not as much time as I did today, but I think it's a great game. I really do. There are some issues with it. I don't think it's like Game of the Year or anything, 2020. It's my personal favorite Game of the Year so far, because it's the only one I've played. But yeah, I think it's great. And I think if you wanted to play this game, but you were on the fence, I think you should. If it wasn't on your radar at all, I think maybe you do a little more research on it, but I think this is for anime fans. I don't think RPG fans should play this game. I think this is strictly for anime fans who are also fans of RPGs, or, if you're just a really hardcore Dragon Ball fan, I think you'll enjoy it too. But, yeah, I think just like the strict RPG fans who don't care at all about Dragon Ball, I don't think you'll really gain anything from this. This is an anime game for us weebs. So, yeah. But it's a lot of fun. There's also a game, or just to give you a little information, there is a side story about Krillin trying to hide his porn from you, and there's another side story about Puar trying to impersonate Yamcha and swindle girls. So, if that convinces you, there you go. There's some fun side stories in there. And those are some of the ones that aren't repetitive and are kind of cool. Actually, probably the Krillin side mission is one of my favorites, because it does have a kind of unique approach to the gameplay structure of it. It's kind of cool. But anyway, getting into my experience with E3. So, like I said, people are really trashing E3 right now. Sony's not coming back again. There's a lot of not game companies there, like selling game peripherals. When my girlfriend Haley and I were there last year, it was, there were a lot of people just trying to sell merch, trying to sell gaming accessories, gaming chairs, stuff like that, gaming controllers, custom made, like that sort of thing. A lot of fan service going on, not a whole lot of games. Well, I mean, there were a lot of games, but, there was a lot of not games too. So here's my thought. Personally, when they said that E3 was dead this year, like there was like no one there compared to other years, I was insanely shocked by that, because I thought there were just so many people there. But attendance was up. But again, I don't know how it was compared to other years. I don't know. But anyway, there was a lot of people there for me anyway. But I had so much fun at E3. And I think the thing that I have to say about people, like people in games media saying like don't go to E3, if you want to go to E3 and you're on the fence, don't do it. Those people have been going to E3 for a long time, And I think they're kind of desensitized to the thrill of E3. Not that I have anything against them. I completely respect their opinion, and I understand why they would say that. I don't think that they're necessarily wrong. But what I would say to counter that is, you know, my experience with E3, did I have issues with it? Yes, of course. Like, I think some of the lines were atrocious. I think they need to have less gamer passes, not more. It's ridiculous how many people they have getting in these auditoriums, these gamers. Like, I had to wait over 4 hours for some games, and it was just ridiculous. I hated that. But just the experience of being there. I mean, it was my first time in Los Angeles too, but the moment I always tell to everybody, my favorite moment of the whole week I went to E3, of the conference, of being in LA, everything, was the last day. We met a guy who was super awesome. He lives in the Los Angeles area. I don't remember his name, but he was super, super cool. I kind of hope that I see him this summer going back, because he was really nice. He really helped us out a lot. He'd been going to E3 for a few years, ever since they started letting gamers in. And so he kind of told us, like, gave us tips on like where to go, what to do, all of that. And he let us know that all of the Xbox games are over at the Microsoft Theater, which is like not really across the street, but just like a block down. And so it's not in the E3 Coliseum. It's in a separate building owned by Microsoft. And that's where they have all the Xbox games and some other games, but you know, all of that where you can try out. We didn't know about it. So the last day we went to the Microsoft Theater. And that is where they hold their Microsoft conference, is at the Microsoft Theater. So I'm trying not to get emotional here. Like, that's literally how amazing it was for me. Being on the Microsoft stage where Phil Spencer walks out and, you know, delivers like the information on Xbox in 2020, or like not 20, but like whatever year, you know, for that coming year. Oh God, it was so cool. It was so amazing. Like that feeling, like, of, you know, being in an important place for me. Again, I'm super passionate about video games. Video games are my life. I want to work at IGN. I want to work with games media. I want to be that person that can say, oh, it's not as good as it used to be. You know, I want that to be my life. And so being on stage there where all these super prominent people to me were standing just a few days ago, that was incredible. And so if that sounds appealing to you, go to E3. Don't listen to these people. If you've never been to E3 before and you're concerned because people are like, E3 is so bad now, there are definitely some bad aspects to it. There are a lot of booths now that have nothing to do with actual, like, you playing video games or them showing off games. They're trying to sell you merch. Like, you've got Funko there and like all these people trying to sell you things and all of that. But there's still plenty of games to play. I did not get to play Final Fantasy VII. I did not get to play a bunch of other games. Like, I had to pick and choose what games I wanted to play. There's still plenty to do at E3. And so you still get your money's worth. I do think the amount of gamers they're letting in is too much because of just the extremely long lines. It's been rumored that they are going to have one of the 3 days be exclusively for media, and then the gamers only get 2 days, which makes it even worse. And I'll be upset if they do that, because the lines will be even longer this year. And then you got only 2 days to get through everything. And so maybe there'll be even less people exhibiting this year. So maybe there'll be less games to play. I don't know. But that makes me sad. That's another thing that makes me happy, because we'll most likely be able to play Cyberpunk. So that's immediately where I'm going to go the first day, is to Cyberpunk. That's what I'm going to do. But yeah, I think if you really want to, if that's something you want to do, if you want to go to E3, if you're passionate about gaming and want to be in that community, I think you really should. I don't think you should listen to these people. Not that their opinions aren't valid or anything. I think everything they're saying is true. But as someone who went for the first time last year, it was just such an incredible, amazing experience. Being around so many passionate gamers, being able to play these, like being able to interact with the developers. It was so cool. My favorite game at E3, I've said before, was Doom Eternal. I'm so excited for that game. But you know, seeing the developers react to us playing, you know, like afterwards, because I said I had the time of my life, and I told them that afterwards, like the developers that were standing there, like I was like, yeah, I had a great time, and they were so happy about it, like seeing them, you know, interacting with the developers, all that sort of. I felt really bad when I did not have a good time with Darksiders Genesis, like I glitched out the game and I was kind of like, but I really felt bad because the developers were standing right behind me, so it's like I didn't want them to think I wasn't enjoying their game, but I kind of wasn't enjoying their game. You know, it was so cool, like being in that experience. And I'd love to go to Gamescom, because that's kind of, as E3 is faltering, people are like, Gamescom is so cool, but a lot harder to go to for me. But that's something I'd like to do in the future, be to go to Gamescom, because E3 is now the only video game convention I've ever been to. Like I haven't tried out other ones or PAX or anything like that, and those have been gamer centric, like whereas E3 is more for the media. And so, you know, maybe they are better, but E3 is still really, really fun. And so I think if you are on the fence, I think you should do it. If you really want to, I think it's still worth it. And if you do go, let me know, and maybe I'll see you there. I can give you some tips, you know? I'm very excited this year because now I know what I'm doing, and so I can have fun with that. I also need to make sure I know when those freaking warp passes come out for Nintendo, because I was not able to secure some last year, and that is why I stood in line for 4 freaking hours. So I'm definitely getting a warp pass. I'm figuring out when those come out, because I thought those were just something you did real quick, but no, those are like gone. And so I got to make sure I'm available for when those warp passes come out this year, if they do that again, because I don't want to wait in line that long this year. I want to avoid that, even though I probably will have to. But yeah. So very quickly, because we are already 6 minutes over on time, what I've been playing this week, again, a lot of Smash Bros. I'm having a lot of fun with it. I originally tried out Terry and had fun with him. That was last week, actually, technically. But I've been playing a lot with my friends here on campus, and I recently entered into the Open Smash tournament, not because I think I'm any good. I just thought it would be fun on the 1st and 2nd. I'm not sure if I'm even going to be able to do it. I think I go on the 2nd, which will be nice because I have plans all Saturday. So that's on a Sunday. So I think I might be able to, but I also work. So I don't know. I really have to look at how the structure is. I might honestly not even do it, but I did sign up. And so I've been trying to figure out what my main is. I've been doing some work as King K. Rool, and I didn't know I was good at him. Like I just recently started, like, I think I might play as King K. Rool because I've been having some fun times playing him. Like, I've been doing some real work against some level 9 bots, and so it's been fun. I haven't tried him out against other people yet. I kind of want to surprise my old roommate with it and see how he reacts. But anyway, yeah, I'm playing a lot of Smash. Again, I played Dragon's Dogma. If you watched my video that went up on Panamaster Rewind yesterday, you'll know I had like a breakdown about 45 minutes in, and I just ended the video because I was really tired of dying in that game. Personally, I'm not really enjoying it that much, but I'm going to stick with it. But, you know, there's a reason it's number 100 best game of the decade and not number 1. But, yeah, I'm playing that a little bit. And obviously a lot of Dragon Ball. Like I said, 17 hours. I played it for 10 hours on Saturday, like in one day alone. That's the most I've ever played a video game in a long time, like in one day. I do not have the time for that very often anymore, but I had a very clear schedule for once this weekend, so because of the whole break, and so that was very nice. I had a lot of fun playing that game. And then some more Destiny 2 on Stadia with my buddy. You know, having fun with that on Stadia. I don't think I played any Ghost Recon this week. I think that was all last week, but I do plan on it. I've been busy, and then Dragon Ball came out, and I haven't played any of the Coma, which I need to do tonight because I'm supposed to have that review done by tomorrow. So that's gonna have a lot of fun tonight. But, well, I mean, I am. It's a video game, but you know what I mean. So that about wraps up this podcast. I kind of glanced through some things. I'm sorry about that, but I also don't want to have this run over too long for you guys, especially since I'm in a place that, you know, is kind of time sensitive. Even though no one has this reserved, I could technically go for another 45 minutes, but I don't want to do that because I didn't technically reserve that, and, you know, I don't want to get anybody mad at me. But thank you guys for listening or watching. I hope you guys enjoyed. This is probably my favorite podcast episode I've done so far, just because there's a lot of stuff I feel that I could really contribute to. That's the reason I started this podcast, is that I have a lot of opinions on things that I think are different from other people's. And so that's why I like this one so much, because talking about my perspective on E3, which I think is different from most people's, and, you know, my perspective on Dragon Ball, because I haven't seen Z and I'm having so much fun with Kakarot, and I do not regret my decision to purchase it whatsoever. And so I think I bring a unique perspective in that way. That's the point of why I started this podcast. And so I hope you guys enjoyed too. So let me know down in the comments below. Do you have Kakarot? Are you enjoying it? Let me know. If go over to YouTube if you're listening on Spotify and comment down below. Or if you already are here, then yeah, do the thing. But and also, you know, have you been to E3 or are you considering going to E3? Talk to me all about your thoughts and opinions on that. But yeah, with that, that about wraps things up. So I will see you guys next week. I hope your week goes fantastic. Also let me know if you pick up any of those games I talked about in the beginning of the podcast. You know, there's a lot of them. Or if you picked up Tokyo Mirage Sessions Sharp FE Encore, which I hear is a great game. It's getting better reviews than Dragon Ball. So, you know, yeah. But anyway, bye-bye.